We have arrived at Module 6. We are going to focus on observability. You will learn how to parse native Nginx traffic using GoAccess. I will show you how to deploy a dashboard where you can see this Nginx data. Using HTTP basic authentication, we are going to learn about rotating logs, and we are going to use a cron job for that. We are going to visualize the CPU and memory usage, as well as process trees using Btop. And finally, I will show you how to find people that are, or bots that are trying to get data from your virtual machine, and we are going to block those IPs. Now let's go to the terminal and let's SSH to the virtual machine. Here is my terminal, and as you can see, I am inside the machine. I am going to start by installing GoAccess. Here we are using Ubuntu. We can install it very easily using this command, sudo apt install GoAccess. I already have it on my system, so that's why it didn't take too much time to install it. And how do we use this? Okay, let me show you. First, we need to try to look at this path that stores the logs. You can see that here we have a lot of logs. Because we have just one website on this server, it is called mywebsite_com. We are seeing this, but if you have a virtual machine that is hosting multiple websites, then pick one or multiples. So here we are going to pick my website. We want to look at the access logs, and you can see that some of them are regular files, but some of them were compressed. And this is what I was talking about in the beginning. So Linux is trying to rotate the logs, meaning it tries to compress them to save disk space. But first we are going to look at just this one because it's a regular file that we can read. And later I will show you how to include the zipped files also. Now we know the logs are stored here, and we know that we need to pick this specific website. Here is the command that we need to use. I will paste it and then I will explain what it does. Here we are using sudo because we need to read files from this specific directory. And here I need to copy this and replace this placeholder with this specific file name. And here the log format is set to combined. This is the default format that Nginx uses. So if you are using a different format, make sure to change this option. That's all we need to do. Now, if I hit enter, let's see what happens. You can see that we get this amazing in real time dashboard. This web server received 122 requests today. And here we have 54 unique visitors. GoAccess is showing you the data that is stored in the Nginx logs. And here it also shows you where it found the data. And this is the normal file that I was talking about. And here it shows you the unique visitors. We have just one person that was hitting the web server. We can keep scrolling, or you can hit tab to move to the second tab or to the second section. Here we have requested files. Some were requesting the sitemap, some were just visiting the root directory. Here we have the static requests. So you can see that some were checking the robots.txt file. We don't have 404s, okay. Here we get the IP addresses of people or bots that are trying to reach the web server. Here it shows you the operating systems. You can see that we have a lot of useful data that we can read and try to understand what is happening. And here it also shows you where the traffic is coming from. You can see that some were able to find the website from Google, some traffic was coming from our website itself. And here we get the HTTP status codes per request. So most requests here succeed, but some of them have client errors. Great. And as you can see, all of this data is coming from one single file. And later I will show you how to increase this range by incorporating the files that were compressed. But before we do that, I will show you if you prefer to see a dashboard instead of SSHing to the machine, having to run this command to get this terminal dashboard, we can tell GoAccess to generate an HTML page that we can access from our browser. And this is what we are going to do now. But since this data contains sensitive information like IP addresses and other stuff, we don't want everyone to see that page. So we are going to use HTTP basic authentication to block access to that specific page. So you need, in order to see the data, you need to provide a username and a password. And in order to do that, here I will hit Ctrl+C to exit. We need to install a tool called Apache 2 Utils because it has that functionality that allows us to generate an encrypted password file. Great, we have installed Apache 2 Utils. Now let me clear the screen and let's use it. Here is how we use that utility. So here we tell it that we want to generate as I said, an encrypted password file, and we will put that here in this location. And here the user is going to be admin. I hit enter, and now we need to provide a password for that specific admin user. Now I need to retype the new password, and it says add in password for user admin. Now we can use this username and password to lock that specific page. But before we do that, we need to generate the GoAccess HTML page. And in order to do that, let me go back to this specific command where we get the terminal dashboard, and we need to adjust a few things. The first part is going to stay the same. So we are pointing at a specific log file, but we need to add the following option before log format. So here I will add this. And as you can see here, we add -o, which basically will try to generate this specific HTML page from the data. Once I hit enter, you can see that it is going to put it inside frontend this, and this allows me to be able to use this file and to check it from my browser. And if I want, I can check the Nginx configuration. It says okay, and now I can try to reload it so that Nginx can serve that specific file. So let's go to Firefox, and here let's go to the website. And now, because that analytics.html file is in the dist folder, I can access it. But you can see it didn't work here because I need to update the Nginx configuration in order to serve this file. First, let's make sure that when we go to web app, frontend, and this, we need to ensure that we have the file there. As you can see, we do. So we have analytics.html. Let me make sure that I have typed it correctly. Yes, I did. Now that's great. We need to open the Nginx configuration, and let me try to do that. We use the Nano. So here I am using Nano, but you can use other text editors. And here we are pointing at my website_com inside the sites available folder. And here you can see that we need to come here. So here we are serving index.html, we are serving assets, and we are serving other stuff. So what are we going to do is we are going to add another location block, but we are going to do that before the SPA fallback routes. So we can do it maybe before assets or before index.html. It doesn't matter. Okay, I'll just copy the following code and I will paste it here. And now I need to try to indent this. And here you might see that I have changed something here. Root, instead of specifying this path, I have this variable that I'm using here. I did this because before I didn't have this coming soon page. So when I was, because here I was serving other stuff. So I just changed this variable to point to this coming soon. But basically it's just a variable that is holding a path. And here, so here you can see that root is pointing at web app frontend dist, and this is why this was not working. Now I can save the file, exit. Let's check nginx-t. It says that the configuration is okay, and now we can reload the page. Sorry, I made a mistake. Let's try to run this again and let's hit enter. Okay, now let's go back to the browser and let's refresh the page. And as you can see, I can't access that page because I need to provide my password. And this is what we are using in the configuration. I forgot to explain it. So let's go back to this file and let's see. You can see that root is pointing at the dist folder because there we have the analytics.html file. And here we add this auth basic to tell Nginx that this endpoint or this file is restricted. We cannot access it. And here is what we are using. We are using auth, and here is the encrypted file that we have created. So if the user or if the person that is trying to get this resource, if they provide the correct user and password, then serve this file for them. Otherwise, don't serve it and show them this challenge, which is what we are seeing here. Now I type admin because that's the user that I've created. And here I need to provide the password. If I make a mistake, let's say I remove the last character, it's not going to let me in. So I need to provide the correct credentials in order to see that dashboard. And as you can see, now I am in. So we need to wait for a few seconds. I'm not sure what is happening. Do we have an error here? Okay. So I see the problem. Remember that we are using content security policy, which is restricting this project from loading some data. That's why it is not working. If we go, so we need to fix this. And this is really cool because as I told you, when you apply the CSP policy, you have to keep attention to it. And if you change your front end, you need to always test it to see if there is some new dependency that you added or something that is not loaded correctly. And this is what happened here. But we can solve this easily by going back to the Nginx configuration. And let's go up to see what we have. You can see that here we have the content security policy, and this is what we have done. And what we could do here is we can have the header here just for analytics.html so that we can override this. Okay, so we can come here and I will try to add that. I will paste that here. Let me save the file, exit. Let me check that the configuration is okay. And now I can reload. I will just make sure that the website is going to load correctly, and then I'll try to explain to you what is happening there. Okay, so we still have a problem here. It says that the page settings blocked an inline script because it violates something. Okay, let's go back and let's see what we have here in the configuration. I think what I will do here, since this is a page that only admins can access, I will add unsafe inline just so that we can see how the dashboard looks like. So here we have unsafe eval, and after that I will add unsafe inline, but please never do this on your main production site because this is a page that is protected. It's not going to be an issue. That's why I'm adding this. And to just make sure that it is working. So here now I refresh the page, and as you can see, we get the dashboard. It's the same information that we will see in the terminal, but if you prefer to say that you want to see this from your phone or you don't have access to the virtual machine, you can use the dashboard to look at the data. And here you have, you can, for example, open the settings. You can change the theme if you like. If you want a bright theme, you can do that here. And here you can see all the panels that we talked about. Here it shows you the unique visitors per day. It shows you the files that were requested, etc. And if you want to learn more about GoAccess, you can go to their GitHub repository. They have a ton of resources, and it's an amazing project. You can also, if you want, you can, as I said, go to GitHub, and here they have their own example. So on their website, they show how this might look like. So if you want to come here to read the documentation, that would be great because they have a lot of features. And if you click on this image on GitHub, you see that they also have their own dashboard, and you can see that they have a ton of information, and you can also add maps. It's amazing. It's an amazing project. Great. Now let's go back to my website. You can see that we were able to add this. And as I mentioned, here we just did a shortcut just to be able to solve the problem with the CSP. But as I mentioned, never ever use unsafe inline because that goes against security. Now, let me show you how to do this correctly. First, we need to add nonce. We need to add this. Let me show you. We need to add nonce dash request ID to the CSP only in the script source, okay? Because this is related to loading inline scripts. And after that, this was the missing piece. I forgot to add it. This is what we need to add to this location block. Here we are passing sub filter once off because we want Nginx to go through the content of this file, and we don't want it to stop when it finds the first occurrence of the things that we wanted to search. And here are the filters. We are telling it to search for script tags that don't have attributes. We want to search for script tags that have attributes. So for example, this one is not closed, but the first one is closed. And for these two, we want Nginx to include the nonce value. And this is a dynamic ID or request ID that is generated whenever we request this file. And because of security, we want to make sure to include this stuff. We are telling Nginx to replace these strings with these values, and this should resolve that problem. So now I can save the file, exit. Let's first make sure that the configuration is correct. Good. And now we can reload the page. Awesome. Now let's go back to the page, and I will do a hard refresh. We can do that while using Ctrl+Shift+R. And as you can see, it is working now. And here, so yeah, we have just warnings. We can remove them. So we can see that we don't have any errors. And we can confirm. This is great to try to play with this, because once you add a CSP, you will have problems like these. And in order to understand them, you need to read the error that you are getting to understand what needs to be changed. And here, for example, I can remove this and see if it is not needed. And now I can reload the configuration, come back, refresh the page. And as you can see, we were able to load the dashboard, but not fully. And this is how you do it. Now we see that, okay, we have a problem. So now we can zoom in and read a little bit. It says that here, okay, so the page settings blocks an inline script. And here from being executed, we can also click on this specific file. And as you can see here, it shows us that we have this specific script. And what do you see? We have the type attribute. So it's not a closed script like the one we have here. Let's go back to the configuration. You can see that here, the script that we captured is closed. Here it is closed, but this one was not, we weren't able to load it because no, it has an attribute. And that was the second thing that I've added in order to capture that. So let me go back and paste the file, and here let's indent it. And we have seen how to work with CSP, but I just wanted to remind you how we do it. You can use LLMs to help you with this. Just copy the console error, give it your current configuration, and tell it to give you a secure CSP. Sometimes it might tell you to do what we did before to get rid of the errors quickly, but that's not secure. So try to tell it to give you a secure CSP, and that's also going to be very helpful. Okay, now we can save this file after adding this subfilter. Let's reload it. I know that the configuration is correct, and let's refresh. And as you can see, everything is working perfectly. Amazing. Now let's go back to the terminal, because now I want to talk about log rotation. We have seen that when we did ls and looked at the var directory, we found that we have a lot of zipped files here. And if we want to use them, it's not possible. So that's why here in the dashboard, we see just what is happening today. But let's say that I want to see what's happened during this month or during the past year. I need to change the command a little bit. So let's see how we can do this. For that, we have a utility called zgrep. You can search for it. Normally it is installed on Linux, so you can use it. And this is how it works. And it allows you to search inside the zipped file. So you don't need to unzip them and then search within them. This utility allows you to search for patterns within the file directly. And it's super useful. We can try to do that in order to show you how that works. I will copy the full command and then I will show you what it does. Let me go back to the terminal. I will paste the command. Here I need to change that placeholder using this website. Let's do that quickly. Okay, let's see what we have here. Here you can see that we are using a wildcard. This means we are going to capture every file that starts with my website _-access.log, and this will capture the normal file and the other ones that are compressed. Now let's look at this zgrep-h dot. If we go back to Google, here we see this AI generated content. It says that here we pass the options and the term that we want to search for. And here we put dot because we want to capture the whole file, because that's what GoAccess is going to use in the dashboard. And here we pass the -h option in order to basically tell it to hide the file names. And here, if you search online, you'll see that this confirms it. So -h means --no file name. And here, yeah, it's not going to show the file names in the output. But that's how it works. So you give it the files. Here we use the wildcard to capture all the files. And here we pass that to GoAccess. And here the dash is telling GoAccess to read the incoming log data from the standard input, because here we are using pipe. It's going to take the output from this and give it to GoAccess from the standard input. Again, so here we have -o web app, and we put that inside the disk, and we use the combined log format. And here we get a problem. So it tells us permission denied. That's understandable. So we need to add sudo, and here is what it is saying. We get permission denied because when we do sudo like this, it's going to be applied to just zgrep. And after piping that, we are going to use that permission. So we need to change that command to look something like this. We need to run it inside this shell execution script. We are using sudo and we use bash, and we pass it the full command that we want to run. And this will use the sudo privileges, and this normally should work. And as you can see, we don't get the permission denied error like we did before. And now, since this is inside the disk folder, I don't need to reload the Nginx configuration. I can just refresh the page. And as you can see, the duration changed. So now it is saying 28th of June to 12th of July, which is amazing. Normally it will be 2 weeks max, but we will solve this issue because Linux is going to first compress the files, but after 2 weeks it is going to download to remove or to delete old files. And now you can see we get more data. You can see the number of visitors per day and the number of hits. A visitor can hit the server multiple times. That's why the number of hits is usually higher than the number of visitors. Amazing. But what do we want is that we want to automate this generation process. We don't want to log into the virtual machine and every single day generate this updated static HTML file. We want to automate this, and we know how to do that. We are going to use Crontab, and we are going to add this file or this command to the end of that file. Okay, let me copy the full command and I'll paste it here. Here we are going to run it hourly, so that's why we have 0 here. It's going to make sure to run zgrep every hour for us. And now the only thing I need to change is this. Let me save the file and I'll just copy that from here. Let's go back to Crontab and let me change this and paste it here. Great, now we can save the file, exit, and now this is going to automatically generate the dashboard. And let's say tomorrow, if I want to see the stats, I can just go back and refresh the page. But we still have a problem where Linux is deleting old files, but we are going to come back to that issue and resolve it. For now, we will stop a little bit and we will go to GitHub. I want to show you an amazing project that you will find very useful. It's called Btop. So if you go to Btop GitHub, it's a way to monitor resources and it's super, super amazing. The application that they have developed looks very nice. What I want you to do is open the releases page. And here the last version is 1.4.7. And here they have the precompiled binaries that we can download. But since we are here in the terminal, we need to use the wget command to download that. So I'll just download this one and I will use, first let's use ls. Okay, we have the file there. I will use tar to unzip that. Okay, now we have Btop. So we need to go inside there. Sorry, let's go inside Btop. And this is the source code. We can just use sudo make install to compile this project. Okay, you can see that this is the installer and it installed the binaries in the respective folders so that we can just type Btop and the program will run without a problem. So now if we type Btop, it says that, okay, we need to resize the window and voila, as you can see, we have everything here. But sometimes Linux will not allow Btop to get sensor data. So for that, you can run this command. So if you get that problem, you run sudo make set cup, and that will allow Btop to read the sensor data without an issue. After doing this, we can go back one directory and remove the files that we have downloaded, because now Btop is running without an issue. And as you can see, Btop is a replacement for htop or top or any one of these commands, because here you can see, yes, we get the same information, but it's hard to read visually. It's hard on the eye. But Btop is an amazing terminal user interface. As you can see, it looks really clean. Let me zoom in a little bit just to see what is happening here. You can see on top we have the CPU. Since this is a low-end virtual machine, we have just one core. Here is the CPU. We have 512 megabytes of RAM. You can see it here. We see that currently we are using 48% of memory and 52% is available. We also have swap. This is what we have created in the beginning. So we are allocating 2 gigabytes from disk as a swap memory to help us because we don't have a lot of RAM. And here, so we have disk, we have 8 gigabytes. And here we have network. So it shows us download and upload speeds. And here we have the processes. So, and here you see you can filter, you can switch between tree view. So if you hit E, it's going to show you individual processes. But if you want to see the tree, you can hit E to group the processes like so. If you want to sort, you can use the arrow keys. Currently we are sorting by memory, but you can sort with other stuff. I usually keep it to memory because here, as you can see, I don't have a lot of it. So if I see that my server is struggling, I would like to see what is the process that is using a ton of resources, so that I can go here, maybe hit K to kill that specific process if it is using too much memory and is making my application work poorly. Okay, so that's how we do it. We can also filter. So for example, here you know that we are using JUnicorn, so we can look at that. And as you can see here, we have all of this, and we can hit E. And here you can see that our application is using these 3 JUnicorn workers because that's what we have specified. But here you can see that we have some orphaned processes that are left here, maybe when we were reloading the backend, but we forgot to delete them. And these are consuming memory. So what we can do here, we can just hit K and kill them one by one. Because you can see that some of them are using 5 megabytes of memory and they are doing nothing. And we know that here, when we set up the JUnicorn file, we have specified that we want to have 3 UVcorn workers. That's why we have 3 of them there. And you can see that they are grouped by the master JUnicorn process. That's how you know if those are orphaned or not. And we can also verify. So if I go back to my website, it should it should work without any problem. So if I go back here, you can see that here I have the coming soon page, but that's just something that I have added recently. So if I open another terminal window and update, so let me show you what I'm talking about. Here I have this maintenance file just to allow me to change between this page that you are seeing right now and this page that contains my website. So let me reload Nginx. Let's go back, refresh the page, and you can see that I get the website. And remember, last time we did the change where we added 2026 here. And if I go back to blogs, you can see that the backend is still running. And we can also verify something, because now if I try to kill one of these workers, what will happen? Let's see. It is going to be killed, but as soon as that happens, the manager, so this process manager is going to see that, hey, we have 2 workers now, but the configuration says that I need to have 3 workers. So it is going to spin a new one to fulfill that. If you don't remember why we have that, you can always go back to web app. Let's go there. We open backend and let's go to backend. Let's use CD instead of ls. And let's see, here we have, you can see that we have JUnicorn start. Let's look at that file. And as you can see, here we have specified that the number of workers should be always 3. And here, when we run JUnicorn, it is going to ensure that we have 3 UVcorn workers. That's why when I tried to kill one of these workers, I don't see 2. So one gets deleted and a new one comes in. And how do we know that? Just look at the process ID. So here is the current process ID. Let me take a screenshot quickly just to verify that this is the case. Here is the screenshot. I will try to kill it again. And here is the number. So you see before it was 827, but now it changed to 990. And that's amazing. This is what we have in the configuration. And now if I go back and refresh the page, you can see that it is still working, because these processes are what's handling the requests that are coming from the browser. And you can see this is why Btop is amazing, because it allows you to interact with it using your mouse and keyboard simply, instead of top and other programs that are hard to use. Okay, I have now showed you how to use Btop. Now let's talk about identifying bots and people that are trying to do malicious stuff with your server. Okay, and let me also show you how to understand what I'm talking about. So if I go back to analytics.html, you can see it is still working even though we changed to my website. You can see that if we focus on requested files, let me see if I can zoom in. Yes, we can. But I think what we can do, we can also hide some panels. So we can see that here we have unique visitors. Can we hide that? Yes, we can. Okay, and now we have requested URLs here. You can see that this is what we currently have. Some people are trying to get the sitemap. Okay, that's fine, but look at this. Someone is trying to do some past traversal inside the virtual machine. This is malicious. This is not something that a normal user will do. We can keep looking. This person is trying to log in somehow. Let's see. This person is trying to get, you can see there are a lot of malicious things. This guy is trying to get his password and some configuration, environment files, etc. These are not normal users. Basically, there is a person or a group of people that are building programs that are going through the internet and trying to find web servers. Once they find your web server, they try to find if there are vulnerabilities. Basically, if you are not good at security, you might leak some files. And if they find that you are leaking some passwords or some common files that we see here in the requested files, they will try to get as many things from you as possible. You can see that here they are also trying to get some AWS credentials or stuff like that. And these bots, they might hit your server a lot. So if you see here, so for example, this is a new web server. I am not getting a lot of hits, but this will increase from time to time. But we want to solve this. We want to block these people because they are just wasting bandwidth. Now let's see how to do this. We are not going to do it manually, meaning I'm not going to come here. Okay, look at this request, come down, see which IP, because here we have IP addresses. You can see that here we have the IP addresses. So we need to correlate them together and see, okay, this IP address is hitting my websites a lot. Like look at this one, for example, it says hitting the website almost 2,000 times. That's inhuman. A human person will not go through your website and try to refresh the page 2,000 times in the span of 2 weeks. So that's how you know that you have some outliers, some automated programs that are trying to get something from your website if they found it. So here our security is great. So and we are not using PHP. So the resources that they are trying to get are not on the website, so that's fine. But just so that we make their life hard, we can block them. So let's see how to do this. Now we understood the problem. Let's see how to solve it. Let's exit now from Btop. We no longer need it. You can do two things. You can either look at the dashboard here and see the IP addresses that have the high amount of hits, or we can tell GoAccess to give us a JSON file. So if we do sudo GoAccess, let's look at this command. We can change it a little bit. Here we are looking just at the today's log, and here we do -o to specify the output. But we can, here in this case, it is an HTML file, but we can also generate a JSON file instead of HTML. Let me do that. I'll go here and I will remove this path and replace it with this one. You can see that I have parsed the log file and I have generated a JSON inside the web app folder. Let's ensure that we have the file there. And yes, we do. So now we can write a simple Python file to analyze this data. Here is the content of that script. And let's see what we are trying to do. First, we load the file. So if we find it great, we will have this data dictionary, and otherwise we exit if we don't find it. We load the hosts, and from that we get data, and we will print the IP addresses. I will save the file and I will run it just to see what we will get. Okay, so this is what we are getting. This is the traffic that we get today. Okay, so these are all the IP addresses that reached the web server. And here you can see, for example, this IP address sent 76 hits today, and these ones sent just 3, 4, 5. Okay, so these are low. That's not a problem. Even 76, it's not that big of a problem. But if I go to my own personal website, which is an old one, it has been deployed for more than a year. In that case, I have some cases where one IP address was sending 6,000 requests, 10,000 requests. Those are clearly automated bots that I usually block without thinking about that. But let's say that this IP address is a bot. It's not a normal user. What we will do, we analyze this output and we see, okay, so these are not doing bad things, or they are not wasting bandwidth. We can keep them now, but if in the future they change their behavior, we can spot that. So now we copy the IP address and we use the uncomplicated firewall to block them. So we use sudo ufw, we type deny from this IP address to any, and this will block that specific IP address. And you can see ufw says that we have a new rule. Let's confirm that. I will clear the screen and I will run sudo ufw status. And as you can see, we denied this IP address from accessing anything from the web server. So now when they try to make a request, it is going to be dropped. It's not going to reach Nginx at all. And that's what we want to see. And this is how we block nefarious actors that are trying to do us harm. this was the first subchapter. We have talked about observability, but in the next subchapter, we are going to focus on reliability. That one is also important. We are going to try to put your server under stress, meaning that you need to know this virtual machine, how much traffic can it support. So if I have 100 people who are trying to access the website at the same time, will my application be able to handle that? I cannot just say it like this. I need to test that. I need to put my server under stress to confirm that, yes, we can support that. Otherwise, no, we need more resources. So we need to use a tool that will help us answer this question. We will also solve the problem with Nginx logs. So we are going to tell Nginx, hey, please don't delete the files that are older than 14 days. Instead, delete files that are older than a year or something like that. And I'll also show you a tool that will allow you to analyze the disk space to see what are the things that are consuming a lot of storage, so that you can delete them if you want to, and more things. So that's what we are going to talk about in the next subchapter.